A lot of people misunderstand me because they don't know me. I guess that's true. People believe a lot of crazy stories they read.
Yeah.
Some is true, some is not. And
does it hurt when you see those crazy stories?
sometimes. But it's part of the work, you know.
You ever want to lash out in any type of way and say, hey, that's not true?
Yeah, a lot of times.
I thought June 25th, 2009 was going to be pretty much of an easy day for me.
Michael Jackson, the king of pop, we're told by our affiliates in Los Angeles, has been rushed to a local hospital.
I remember getting back to my office at Inside Edition, and we were putting the Farrah Fawcett story together, and we heard a news alert.
Jackson, just recently signed a deal to do a whole bunch of concerts in London.
We're covering this story for you, the hospitalization of Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
I got a note from the president of the company to jump on a plane and go to Los Angeles.
Both the Los Angeles Times and CBS News are both now reporting
Michael Jackson has died. Now, let me just say this, and I believe this to be true. This is not hyperbole. I think the world stopped. Everything stopped. No one paid attention to politics. No one paid attention to anything else.
The demonstrations of mourning, the candlelight vigils, the tears for this man, it really underscored what a worldwide superstar he was.
It was shocking because this was a young man. This was someone that was about to begin a tour. And so immediately you wonder why, how, what happened? Something's not right.
How did he die? Who killed him?
Who was with him? Who saw him last? What was he doing?
It couldn't have been deliberate, could it?
It just kept growing and growing and growing until everything started to unfold and unravel. And boy, what an avalanche.
You had some concerns about the physicians and the people who were around him.
I can't get into that, but I don't like what happened.
The family, and rightfully so, were very suspicious about what happened.
How do you think he died? You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been murder. Do you still think that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why are you so sure?
I would never, ever think differently. Because, first of all, Michael told me that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life.
She suggests he was worth more dead than alive, and consequently, people wanted him dead. The death of Michael Jackson was a shock to everybody across the world. He was just 50 years old, the king of pop. But the truth is, the events that led to it began 25 years before.
I am hard-pressed to think of a bigger star than Michael Jackson was in the 70s and 80s. I remember seeing him on programs like The Ed Sullivan Show and whatnot. I always remember Michael Jackson as that little tiny kid singing ABC and doing those swirls around and his brothers in syncopation behind him. What a talent he was.
After Off the Wall, Michael Jackson just exploded. A couple of years later with Thriller, it changed the sound of the 80s.
The most iconic moment for me of Michael Jackson was the Motown 25 performance. Michael Jackson was singing Billie Jean, and something just happened. What was that? He'd done this moonwalk, and it looked like there was a special effect that the stage was being pulled because nobody had ever seen this before. It was unbelievable.
He was the king of pop. And, you can just go, everyone knew. If you did that, you knew Michael Jackson.
In the early 1980s, Michael Jackson was on top of the world. And Pepsi-Cola hired him to make this incredible music video commercial. It was going to be big. Unfortunately, when you look back, it's also what caused the downfall of Michael Jackson.
In 1984, the Jacksons were about to embark on the Victory Tour, with, of course, Michael Jackson as part of the stage show. He didn't need any money. He didn't drink Pepsi. In fact, he wanted nothing to do with Pepsi sponsoring the tour. Part of the deal was that they had to shoot a Pepsi commercial. Michael obviously didn't really want to do this, but was cajoled by his brothers into doing it. On 27th of January, the Jacksons shot the commercial. It was on the final take as Michael was descending some stairs. A pyrotechnic went off just beside his head, about 2 feet away, and his hair caught fire. Watching the video today, you can see his hair starting to smoulder, people running on from the side of the stage, putting a jacket over his head to try and douse the flames, and throwing him to the floor. What actually happened was that Michael had suffered third-degree burns and was rushed to hospital.
That was really the beginning of the end for him, in the sense that he was in so much pain that he had to take painkillers, and he ended up becoming addicted to them.
There was so much damage to his scalp, he started delving into plastic surgeries and then got deeper and deeper into it.
His appearance started to change. His nose changed, the color of his skin changed.
He looked different from album to album. It looked like a transformation in front of your eyes.
He became a client of a guy called Dr. Arnie Klein in Beverly Hills, who calls himself the father of dermatology and cosmetic surgery. And the rumors are that Jackson not only saw Dr. Klein to have cosmetic treatments, but also to get access to Demerol, which is one of the drugs that was used as a painkiller at the time.
Why did you give Michael Jackson Demerol?
I said before, because I rebuilt his face. His face had full of scars. His nose had collapsed. I had to rebuild his chin.
Dr. Arnie Klein told me that Michael Jackson had a compulsion.
Thus, we see the multiple nose jobs, the jawline, the dimple in the chin. There came a time when they actually put some whiskers into his upper face and around his chin line. And he then didn't like them, so then they were taken out again. He's the one who made the tattoo around the hairline so it didn't look like Michael was losing his hair. He tattooed the eyebrows and around the eyes and the lips.
You too, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
I think Michael Jackson's affinity, shall we say, for plastic surgery was born out of the fact that he didn't really have a childhood. He didn't know who he was. So he would look at the man in the mirror and try to figure out, who is this man in the mirror?
When you look in the mirror, are you happy with what you see?
In what way?
Just when you look there, in terms of that social philosophy.
I'm never totally satisfied.
While Michael Jackson is getting all this cosmetic surgery, he's living at home with his parents. Then in 1988, he got the courage to buy a ranch he called Neverland, and he moved out. And I think many people close to him would tell you that's when he started making the worst decisions of his life.
That the children are our future, and without them, mankind would become extinct. And all the children, I love you. Thank you.
Welcome to Larry King Live. Good evening from Washington. Michael Jackson has been through endless press speculation, but now there's a new shock, and it's no tabloid tale about sleeping in oxygen tanks or trying to buy the Elephant Man. The famous pop star is at the center of a Los Angeles Police Department criminal probe.
In 1993, totally out of the blue, Michael Jackson faced some very, very serious and potentially damaging child abuse allegations.
Two of his homes in Southern California were searched this weekend.
I was told the police were at his ranch in Santa Barbara County and at his condo in Beverly Hills. Figure out what's happening. It didn't take me long to get a copy of the police report and the child welfare report, which said clearly allegations of sexual molestation. I couldn't believe it. with the story. It seemed like a long, long time that we heard no reaction from Michael Jackson himself. And then one day, there was a live satellite feed that we were all told to tune into at a certain time and record.
I wish to convey my deepest gratitude for your love and support.
And there was Michael Jackson.
There have been many disgusting statements made recently concerning allegations of improper conduct on my part. These statements about me are totally false.
It was simply Michael Jackson on camera saying that he had settled these horrible allegations, that there was no truth to them, that he would never hurt a child, that he loved children.
I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth before you label or condemn me. Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
The impression that everybody had was, boy, that was weird.
What's crucial about that tape is actually for the first time explaining, or almost apologizing for undergoing treatment for some sort of chronic addiction.
After my tour ended, I remained out of the country undergoing treatment for a dependency on pain medication. This medication was initially prescribed to soothe the excruciating pain that I was suffering after recent reconstructive surgery on my scalp.
In 1993, nobody thought anything about that. But now, looking back, you can see that that was the first time that the alarm bells should have rung. The family wouldn't let it drop. Instead of going to court, Michael Jackson offered them a $20 million settlement, which obviously they accepted.
He never wanted to settle. He wanted to go the full distance to prove his innocence. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that he was forced to settle by his insurance company.
However, settling out of court did nothing to prove Michael's innocence. And in fact, people around the world were saying, where there's smoke, there's fire.
In focus tonight, Michael Jackson's ranch is searched in connection with an accusation of child molestation.
In 2003, it was a shock. All of a sudden, the accusation is Michael Jackson has done it again.
How you doing? Sheriff's Department, we have search warrants?
This time more serious. This time criminal. This time the Sheriff's Department descends on Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch and raids the ranch, looking for evidence of molestation.
Are there any secret rooms?
The family accused Michael of all kinds of stuff, but the nub of the accusation were 12 counts of child molestation.
The whole thing turned into a media circus.
Michael Jackson was coming to the courthouse, but it felt more like one of his concerts.
Most people will remember the arraignment not for anything that happened inside of the courtroom. Most people remember what happened outside of the courtroom. And we went to the SUV and kind of pushed through the crowds. His security detail was leading him through. And next thing I know, he's on top of the SUV. And I turned to Ben Brofman, who was my co-counsel, and Ben's response was, if we don't get this under control, next thing you know, he's going to show up in his pajamas.
Tonight, is that a pajama party? No way. It's Michael Jackson and his entourage showing up over an hour late to court and wearing his pajamas.